2 for 2 right now. That's a massive advantage carried in. If they can't carry that through to this second map here, I think that this might be a bit of a runaway half. It might even be a runaway series. Already 1-0 up for the Sentinels. Let's see if they can hold this home advantage going on to Bind. I'm really excited.
Yeah, you mentioned the advantage. Both times, I believe, they propelled themselves to a 2-0 run. So they win the pistol round, and then because of the arms advantage, if you will, they also win the follow-up round. And that might actually be the reason for the kind of 13-10 finish before. So I really want to see if they can clean that up on the side of Sentinels. If they can deny the pistol rounds here, and right now we're kind of feeling each other out. I think, as you said, this might be a bit more of a runaway contest, and CP2 does find the first blood on Sinatraa, so that's a great start for Renegades.
This is where you're really expecting a freebie bomb plant on the A site. I'm not sure if Renegades are going to be able to chip and chime back in for that secondary frag. But with the aft plant positions already posed and a couple of kills coming through, Dapr and ShahZaM getting things started here. And that aft plant scenario, Winsum might be able to run through a bit of a distraction, and here can't connect with the headshot. The Sentinels are starting to lock things away, and there's Zombs just finishing things off with a ghost. 1-0, an early start, and Sentinels' first pistol victory of this series.
One thing that I kind of want to highlight here is that we did have some agent changes, right? So Sinatraa is now on Phoenix, and Winsum, who was on Phoenix on Ascent, is now playing Raze. Winsum was playing that Phoenix very aggressively. I felt like it was a lot of the success was between Winsum and CP2 playing at a pretty high level. I want to see how that changes with Winsum moving to Raze, because now this team essentially doesn't have flashes where the other side does. And right now we're going to be seeing some smokes come down from Nurfed. It looks like Sentinels are playing it slow, looking for picks. They're taking this kind of advance onto A with Cypher lurking, trying to catch a pick over on B. Dapr making his presence known by running now. A little bit of noise, but this is an easy take on A. Nobody's home. This is no deaths, no damage. It's just a plant, and now they sit and wait. It's a little bit peculiar.
Yeah, and realistically, you say that you're a masochist. I don't know why Renegades would do this to themselves, not just with the setup in general, but here in this round as well. They go for the gamble towards B. It doesn't pay off or pan out. Obviously, this is like a fairly full and wholesome investment for the defending side. So they want to keep hold of as much of this economy and much of this weaponry as possible. Finally, Renegades, they'll be hunting for a couple of these SMGs. And well, let's see what Sinatraa can do. It's an instant frag coming in. The pistol closing out the second. And obviously the round's secure, but this is all about the damage. And that 2 for 2 trade is massively going to favor the Sentinels.
So now as we're going into the all-important round 3, where if you have saved your money, you should be going with full buys. It actually looks like on the side of Renegades, it's pistols and SMGs. So this is likely going to be Sentinels extending their lead pretty significantly. And again, I just don't know what the mindset was on the previous round where you let them waltz onto site A completely untouched.
Yeah, it's really this gamble setup, right, where if the Sentinels do decide to go for some form of B rush, they've got all of the SMGs there just to chomp and peel them away, where they do realistically have an advantage. If it is A, which did seem to be the case, obviously a very easy round in effect. It seems just all too easy at that point. The SMG is able to chip in for the first, but with the spike going down once more, Sentinels should have an ironclad lock on this A site, and Nurfed is stuck between a rock and a hard place right now. He has the flank fully in place, and even with a pistol, again, trying to do some damage. A 3 versus 5 scenario. Maybe an opportunity for Renegades here as the tertiary frag comes through. Nurfed holds the angle, and it's all down to Sova here. There's nothing that he can do about this one. He gets completely ripped out of the server. 1-2 on the board. What the hell was that, Charmer?
I have no idea, but I can't wait to watch VODs on it later and really examine it, because that's a clinic of a thrifty round. You went into that down, and you not only took the round, you took it clean. You got a bunch of extra weapons that you get to carry with you off the corpses of your enemies. And so as we're going into round 4 here, you can kind of see the momentum is going to be shifting now in favor of Renegades. They've got the full arsenal. It's going to be the eco round on the side of the attackers, Sentinels, and there's a lot of credits banked up on the side of Renegades because they took those ARs from the bodies of their opponents. And we see Sentinels like taking this kind of spread out approach to start. They want information first before they make any sort of pushes. They drop the spike in the middle, kind of getting forced out of this hookah area as Sick tries to peek over and over to get a little bit of intel, but nobody home quite yet. Is this actually going to be the first time that they move in to hookah? Because so far, every time they have advanced forward, checked it, and decided to back away and go A, but they are amassing. This appears to be the first real hookah push that we're going to see. Dapr takes down CP2.
Wow. There are the kills to follow, and well, with the barrier orb thrown into place, I don't think the Bulldogs should be able to do all too much here, even against the Pistols. They backtrack, taking Raze and Sova as their prize. And Nurfed over by Bathrooms has actually been a fairly influential member here. He's been finding a lot of those opening frags, and well, there's another one, a secondary headshot onto Sick, trying to flashbang him away. And while Sinatraa does find the flank, and that's the third frag found. Now a tough, tricky retake for the final 2. As they try to chip through, they do have a weaponry advantage here, but the time is not on their side. Sinatraa, right around this corner, can go for second helpings right now, and these kills aren't coming through nearly fast enough. There's the recon just to find that penultimate frag, and Berghy should fall the same fate as well.
Can't help but feel for Randyysavage there. There was a bit of a misstep. He threw the cage down. He thought he'd activated it so that he could go in to try to get the defuse, and then you saw him kind of dance back because he had missed the activation, and ultimately that sliver of time might have cost him. But this is, you know, a great answer back from Sentinels. Right when you think that one of these teams has an advantage, the other one comes back hard swinging. It feels like the underpowered squads are the ones that are overperforming thus far, but now we're going to get our first full buy versus full buy round here on Bind from both teams, and we'll see whether or not one of them can jump out in front of the other. Berghy does take out the drone, repositions, almost gets the flick with the operator.
That's such a ballsy pick to go for as well. If he loses that engagement, that gives away almost the entirety of the B site with only Randyysavage here. CP2, yes, he's rotated in and through. And really just a slow start for the Sentinels, trying to pry for a little bit of this early intel. And with a minute left, they've got a lot of this clock to whittle down as well. The longer they chip away off this time bank, of course, it's going to whittle that defensive utility away, and maybe just one less smoke here and another flash gone there. That could be all she wrote for a defense a lot of the time. This time, it's Winsum to try and hold up the sole defense here, and in the back lines, he's going to get swiftly taken out.
CP2 popping off with a double there to give Renegades a numbers advantage, but they've got to push in and get this spike diffused. Randyysavage taking down Dapr, but Sick does get Zombs back up. Hunter's Fury's coming up to stop the defuse. And now we also see the orbital strike come down, and despite the numbers, I'm not sure they're going to have enough time. We see the defuse attempted, but Zombs denies it. Randyysavage gets the 3K and will get the defuse. Good positioning there from Randy to clean that up, but that was very hectic there at the end. A lot of ults thrown out, a lot of trades. Renegades getting closer to evening things up. It's now 2-3.
That's exactly why these ultimates are so powerful, right? You've got that incendiary combined with the orbital strike to delay that defuse for as long as possible. And a lot of the time, if Renegades actually have just one extra defender in that scenario, maybe they win the round, but losing a couple of those early engagements, and they do get bitten for it. No operators on the attacking setup. This is what I love to see. Relying on these rifles, taking a faster running gun approach. You can even just fall away and try and play a passive setup to try and steal away this first kill.
What's interesting to me is that despite the push after push after push onto A, they continue to 3-stack B here on the side of Renegades. Now this time it does actually look like Sentinels is going to push into Hookah. The Raise Grenade pushes them out a bit, but they're going to come right back. They are still looking for picks though. The spike was dropped outside. We do see Brimstone circling around, may be able to pick it up. Cypher backtracking, but Winsum here denying it. And we also have the information because of the Roomba finding somebody around the corner. ShahZaM with a shock dart of his own.
This is where things start to get a little bit of touch and go. The spy cam at least merits a little bit of that elbow information. And with Winsum nailing another headshot, this defensive side is starting to clamp down on B. A third frag found in CP2 chipping through. It's a flawless round for the defensive half. 3-3 and closing it up once again. Renegades, I feel like they do rely on this defensive half, like most teams do, albeit on bind. I think that does start to bite you at some point, where if you don't take 8-9 defensive rounds, perhaps Sentinels have a big advantage coming into this second half, especially combined with the pistol. I think that Sentinels here, their goal is maybe 2 more. If they can take 3 more, they're going to be feeling just absolutely great about this.
I'm actually very excited to see what Renegades can do on attack because I really liked their aggressive style of play. As I said before, Winsum and CP2 have shown me a lot, and Berghy here with an early pick on Sinatraa puts the numbers advantage in their favor again. I'd like to see them turn this into a round win. Berghy now picks up Zombs and Sick. Berghy is absolutely popping off here. Almost finds Dapr before getting punished. Randyysavage takes down ShahZaM. Dapr then gets that kill as well. So Dapr with the spike, going to be going to site B. There is Sova waiting in the wings to get him. I think he's trying to get this plant money, but it will be denied by CP2. That's what I want to see out of Renegades. In the first map, we saw them time and time again with the numbers advantage. They get the first blood, and then they couldn't capitalize. This time around, executed very well. If they can do that, I really think they can push Sentinels and try to take this map and maybe push them to a game 3.
Yeah, it certainly does seem that way right now. We're seeing a tremendous amount of control from this defending side, continuously picking up that first and opening frag. That gives them such a massive advantage when that push inevitably does come through. 5 versus 4 is exactly where you want to be. And yeah, prying for that information, it's what you need to be doing in a Sageless setup. But even when you've got that Sage, that res as a response, you have to be finding those opening engagements. And well, here taking Bathroom's control and really good map control in general is absolutely what you want to be doing. And Winsum's doing a grand job every single time at finding this opening pick and just nailing the advantage. Great bit of map control here, right inside of lamps and prying in. Sage has complete control of this A site right here. And what is she going to do with it? Phantom in the hands of Sick. And the defense has no idea that he's lurking towards this side of the map right now. As Dapr pries in, I want to see Sage even overextend a little bit and nail that first frag. You see Berghy's all out in the open, and without the smokes, should have been able to connect that first shot. Clock down to just 40 seconds now, and it does feel like Renegades have control of A once again. Good Bathroom's control. This is a good anchor for the retake, but a great headshot from Sinatraa evens things up.
That pick from Sinatraa was massive because it stopped the showstopper. Sinatraa also picks off Nurfed there as well, and we've got Berghy up in heaven, raining down those op shots. so far, the spike has not been planted, so they're going to take the teleporter over to B. Time's running out, so they have to get this down. We can see the incendiary on the ground here. The plant's going down, but Randyysavage takes down Sick. And that's also going to be Sinatraa falling, so this will be a defuse and then another round win for the Renegades.
As I said before, immense control on this defending side. That bathroom position seems incredibly powerful, especially for Raze, where that showstopper can then pry into the A site. It doesn't get the job done in that scenario, but just causing confusion within the ranks. And really, Sentinels don't seem ready for this attacking side. They actually seem a little bit out of their depths thus far on Bind, considering they were able to take 3 of the first 4. They've had relatively little success in the last few rounds, in the last several minutes. Back into the action, round number 9 here. And they need to start picking up these opening frags. More aggression from the Renegades. And the run it back gets information, but nothing else. 0 headshots merited, and it's still control for Renegades.
And Randyysavage denies Dapr trying to enter in as they're piling into Site A here, but the spike is down, so at this point they are just kind of playing for picks, trying to push people out. We've got the orbital strike there on U-Haul, and then Nurfed picks up ShahZaM coming around the corner, but Sinatraa gets the trade frag, evens it up there. A lot of smoke down, folks firing, trying to connect, but again, this is Renegades with a numbers advantage. This is where they had been struggling on the previous map. So far on Bind, they've transferred these into round wins. Let's see if they can keep that up here.
Slowing things down at the 40-second mark. And of course, with a 1-man deficit, this is where the Sentinels need to even up the frags. The rotate already coming through. A 3 versus 3 situation on this A site before the rotate comes in from the final man. And with the spike down, that's a time pressure applied. 5 versus 3, such an important round to win. That recon bolts are going to get the job done on the burst. A great blast pack in, does tremendous amounts of damage. And once again, the retake scenario seems primed and ready. And Berghy misses the first, but certainly not the second. That secures the 6th. And a great hold once again from the Renegades.
That's a beautiful hold from Renegades, because that guarantees that even if everything falls apart here, they can at a minimum go even at the half. But there's still 3 rounds left. If they can extend this, if they continue this streak, even if they take 2 of the next 3 and maybe go 8-4, I really like their chances, because they've been playing well when they're aggressive, and having an established round lead going into when they're going to be on attack might benefit them. But right now, what I'm most impressed about, what I'm most happy about, is the fact that, again, they're turning these first bloods into round wins. They're taking advantage of their numbers advantage. That was something they struggled with before. And Sentinels, normally they're a team that is known for their adaptability, and they have not been able to adapt to this defensive strategy from Renegades thus far.
That's a really important point to make right there, is converting these opening frags into rounds. It's cause and effect. Finding these 5 versus 4 and favorable engagements is the catalyst to taking these scenarios. And as I said earlier, after losing the pistol, you need to win the lion's share of your rifle rounds. And well, this time it's towards the B site. Still a minute left on the board. The Owl drone at least finds the tag, but there's nobody to punish there for the Sentinels. They feel a little bit caught off balance right here. I don't think they were expecting, much like me, for this map to be as one-sided. A great opening pick for the first time we see Winsum drop, and a horrible wall coming through. I think that they can actually pick and pry around this one. At least the incendiary is going to hold them out momentarily. But with the kills coming in one more time, Dapr can't get the damage done. There's the res right on cue, and an even scenario here. 3 versus 2, and it gets shut down just like that. Once again, the Renegades applying the pressure in all the right places.
I had a moment there where I legitimately thought Sick might pull it off. There's been a number of times so far in today's broadcast where Sick has completely turned the tide of a battle by getting a pick and then getting a res at a key moment, and they were at a big disadvantage there, but something just told me, hey, Sick might do this yet again. That was a great stop again by Renegades to prevent that. Up now 7-3 and looking to extend it even further. And it looks like Sentinels are going to be pushing this B route again now, exploring hookah and long, but they're going to do it quicker than normal. So this is them actually adapting their strategy a bit. Sinatraa gets another entry frag before traded out with CP2, but Dapr gets Randyysavage. Zombs finds one. This is what I wanted to see before. With Sentinels, they are great at adapting. I think that this has caught Renegades a bit off guard because they haven't seen this kind of fast push aggression out of Sentinels yet on this map, and now they're in a 4v2 post-plant scenario, and they should be able to take this round.
This should certainly be an easy one to close out. You see that the Renegades, obviously this being the penultimate round with a bye coming up next, they're going to go for it, but with Sick finding that penultimate frag, Winsum gone, Nurfed really has no chance any longer. He's going to try and cling onto this Phantom for the final time, and he's going to get recon bolted right away from this B site. I love the change of pace there from the Sentinels, just diving and darting into B. And 4 rounds on this attacking side, that's actually pretty decent here on a map like Bind. I think with the combination of the pistol in the second half, and you'll see Sentinels creep ahead once again, this massive defender-sidedness certainly is going to favor Sentinels if they can get that economy off to a good foot, if they can just get off to a good start. I think that they've certainly got great chances in this map, and this 3 to 4 round marker is where it becomes acceptable to a good half.
Yeah, this is actually a really important final round for this half because both teams want to set themselves up for the second half in a great way. And again, more aggression out of the side of Sentinels. Sinatraa coming in with the run it back here. Sick gets a pick, Sinatraa gets a pick, and I like the change. CP2 answers back, but ShahZaM gets that trade frag, and right when I mentioned that Sentinels has been great at adapting and I was waiting for them to do just that, they answer.
Yeah, it's a repeat
Sick
performance
catches
once
Winsum.
again. A guaranteed 5th round, and this right here is a great half for Sentinel. Looked a little bit rocky as we were getting into things. 7-3 looked like it could have certainly been a 9-3 performance. Obviously for Renegades, 7-5 on your defender side is actually not really good enough here on Bind. This is a much needed pistol round for the Renegades. If not, we could see this sweep over still.
So if you're on the side of Sentinels, if you can take this pistol round and then propel that advantage to a 7-7 even start, I really think that that might swing things enough in your favor. On the side of Renegades, as I said before, I'm excited to see what they can do on offense, specifically Winsum. He was great when playing aggressive on Phoenix on Ascent previously. Here on Raze on Bind, I want to see what he can do with the grenades in confined spaces. It looks like this is going to be a push into A, potentially through the short area, though with the utility. Things are going to slow down. They're going to, I think, change this pace a little bit. Now the push comes out. A lot of firing through smoke and catches a headshot, but because it's the classic, wasn't enough to finish it. Sinatraa draws first blood on Nurfed, though.
Fairly even engagement to start things off. Sick and Randy once again trade frags, and these ghosts need to pry through before the spike goes down and away. Winsum, another 1-to-1 trade, and we'll see the 2 versus 2 scenario. It's so the tellies to be, and finally does plant this spike down and away. It'll all come down to their headshots here in the retake. ShahZaM's going to try and start things off. CP2 nicely gets around the corner in elbow, tries to take an aggressive secondary swing, and they seem to have this one all wrapped up here inside the hookah. ShahZaM's going to find that final frag, tripling things up, and that's a much-needed pistol round. 7-6. I feel like Sentinels have this one pretty much almost wrapped up here.
Well, we are going to see the up buy here. We see SMGs and a Bulldog on the side of Sentinels. We have, however, a couple of times here seen the underbought squad turn things around. I wouldn't count Renegades out just yet. Specifically, we've seen CP2 in the past pop off with the Sheriff. If he can land a headshot or two, allow his teammates to pick up one of these SMGs, they might be able to propel this into a win. It's a great flash open from Sinatraa. Uses the incendiary there to give himself some distance and back out safely, but got some opening chip damage on CP2.
This is where this defensive side needs to hold serve, especially with the SMG up close. Still a single curveball in hand. But you see, Renegades, they've really just been spanked away from B. They were unable to get anything done there. 0 headshots found. Realistically, you want to nail that first kill quite quickly and snowball the attack off the back of it. And with Sentinels just not giving anything up towards that side of the map, they have to backtrack, rotate, and scamper towards this A site once again.
So this is now the hard push on to A. We saw the Molly go out, obviously a lot of utility. The Roomba goes down, but doesn't find anything in the smoke, but Winsum does get that kill on Zombs. And this is potentially that early kill they needed. Through the teleporter they go as they try to get in here to plant. Good flash, but with the slow, Randyysavage answers back, takes out Sinatraa. ShahZaM picks off Nurfed here as well, but this is still a 4v3 in a post-plant scenario. Sick trying to find somebody. CP2 also takes down Dapr. And Renegades actually might pull this off. Again, for whatever reason here on Bind, the teams that are underbought have been overperforming. But ShahZaM ends Randysavage's peak and now finds Berghy.
Still an opportunity in this one. Finally closed down by the pincer between Sova and Raze to finish things off. That bomb was fairly far ticked, to say the least. And that is such a great swing round for Renegades. They take all of the rifles and all of that investment out of the hands of Sentinels. That's when, obviously, that defensive side needs to bolster up their economy, build that bank, keep things rolling for a fairly clean, if not flawless, second round there to put them in great stead for the rest of the half. But we do see that return to form round. Renegades, that might have been one of their only chances to get back into this one. I feel like if you allow the Sentinels economy to build up, you allow them back-to-back rifle rounds, that's when they start to get massively dangerous here, especially on a really favored defensive half.
We saw Grenade and Satchels trying to force the Sentinels out of position there. We saw no real damage as a result, though, and Winsum here still peeking, trying to find somebody, and they're just kind of dancing around each other. Finally, some damage goes out, and it's Sick who wins the gunfight. That's also going to give Sick an upgrade of a weapon, and that's huge on the side of Sentinels.
Obviously, exactly what they want at this point. A one-man deficit for this defense. Finally, well, pulled back again by Zombs. A 3 versus 5 before he finally falls and falters. Berghy with another. It's all fairly even right now. Renegades seem to love this. 1 kill towards A and TP straight into B. I feel like that the adjustment needs to come through at some point from the Sentinels, where they actually just keep one member of the defense over towards this side of the map. But here comes the retake once again.
We hear somebody on the spike, but Sick eliminates CP2. Berghy and Nurfed also finding kills as well. That's going to even things up in a 2v2 here. Dapr eliminates Berghy. Now we're down to the 1v1 after Nurfed. And the fake from ShahZaM baits it out, and now that will be a defuse. So Sentinels with a thrifty of their own. And again, for whatever reason, here on Bind, feels like the underbought teams are overperforming.
And ShahZaM with that big brain play, I've been seeing him do this for years in Counter-Strike as well. And again, flexing those muscles here on that defensive side. A great, much needed 1v1 scenario. Pulls the scoreline back again, and we're destined for a close quarters scoreline in this second map. The Phantoms obviously come through for the defenders this time. Not a single operator. and the force buy as a response for the Renegades. They're going to once more try and pry into A. That operator is going to look to open things up and through. But as soon as they give away any information here, expect the sky smokes to go down and probably an incendiary as well from Zombs to just slow and, well, split up this approach. I love this combination. The recon bolt connects and heavy damage done with Hunter's Fury opens things through, and the attackers once more finding all of the advantages on A.
Yeah, Winsum with a pair there. Berghy also found the kill, all because of the Hunter's Fury chasing folks out. It was a beautiful arrow, giving them even just the one ping was enough to kind of propel them onto this site. And so now it's a 5v2 in a post plant. You have to assume, I think, that Sentinels are going to take a save here, maybe try to get some exit frags, but this should be a round win in favor of Renegades. And so far, since they have swapped at the half, it's been a very back and forth affair as both teams look to close this out. It's much closer than I thought it was going to be. I'll be entirely honest. I expected after the pistol round Sentinels to kind of close the gap and then use that economic advantage. Renegades has shown me something. They continue over and over and over again to put the pressure back on Sentinels right after Sentinels answer. It's a close matchup.
And that's what we've seen since the very start of Ascent. It doesn't feel that long ago now. But 9-7, a fairly even scoreline. And it doesn't feel like Sentinels are successfully holding serve on the defensive side of Bind. They'll get another opportunity here with a pair of rifles to get a little bit of damage done. But along with a triple pistol setup, how can they really hold serve here on the defense with such an unfavorable buy? We've seen it come through a couple of times, but 9-7, Renegades applying all of the pressure right here, and well, oh, a great bit of over-aggression pays off and pans out. The recon bolt does even further damage, and this is a head-scratcher for Renegades. How do they respond?
Yeah, this is, again, I don't know what it is about this particular map. It's defying all traditional conventions where the team that's at a pretty big disadvantage is coming out huge. They're playing aggressive. They're getting these picks. They're doing it with pistols. They're doing it with SMGs. Dapr there getting another kill as well. That's with an AR he took off of somebody's corpse. And now we see Nurfed trying to get that economic damage back. He's solo, not likely that he's going to be able to pull this off, but he's got 76 health, 1 armor, and a bit of a dream. He's going to smoke this so he can push in. Don't think he's going to go for the plant here, though, knowing that it's 1v3. ShahZaM does end his hopes. But again, even a pair of kills there, the economic damage that does is pretty relevant because this is a very close game on both sides. We're going to see full buys come out on the side of Sentinels, but when you look at somebody like Sick, for example, not a lot of money left, though his teammates have enough to buy them in future rounds. On the side of Renegades, also a bit low on credits for a couple of members.
Yeah, and the real reason behind this is they're failing to chain together rounds on this attacking side. If you fail to win consecutive rounds on either side of this map, you're obviously going to be stuck with very little economy, just no real money to work with. And right now, it's down to the Renegades to see if they can close up this scoreline and, well, maybe even take a narrow lead here on the defending half. Opportunities for both teams here, and this is a swing situation where whoever wins this, they're going to be in control of the economy. They'll completely manhandle the bank of their opponents. And well, with a minute left, I feel like both teams are going to start to feel the heat. And who does that favor? I feel like Sentinels have the more experienced roster. They've got a depth of talent who have played on LAN, a lot of these high money, high pressure scenarios. So I feel like they have the experience to carry this one through. That's what we saw on Ascent, and it's coming in once again here on our second map of the day.
So that's a very interesting tell of information there. Winsum taking some shots over there on the B site and has now pushed forward here in Hookah. A bit of a standoff Winsum is having, and that's making some noise. I thought that meant his teammates might try to pressure over on A, but instead they rotated over. Winsum does get a kill with the rocket before falling to Sinatraa, so it's an even trade, but everybody's filing into B here as they try to get this plant down. Beautiful flash from Sinatraa. However, CP2 and Nurfed find headshots, and the spike is planted in time. And now it's up to Zombs to either try to defend this or back out. It does look like he wants to go for it. Berghy gonna res, and I like this res from Berghy, not only because you want to make sure you get this round win, but for economic reasons as well. Renegades was short on credits, and that will help them save yet another weapon.
Yeah, that is such an unenviable situation for Zombs. To add insult to injury, as you said, the res comes in, it turns it from a 1v3 to a 1 versus 4, almost unwinnable at that point. And inevitably, you don't want to give away that ult. You want to carry it through to this very key round coming up where both teams are going to have rifles in hand. Of course, that money is starting to build up now, but you see the scoreboard. Neither of these teams able to chain together back-to-back rounds. And this is amounting up to maybe the most exciting Valorant I've seen thus far. A great quarterfinal, and only one of these teams can take the cheese and make it to the semis. Both of these obviously want to take a lion's share of that $5,000 prize pool. A great aggressive Hunter's Fury to get things started. That's a nice chunk of damage dealt. The aforementioned orbital strike isn't going to come through as of yet, wanting to keep that in hand just one more time. And well, a fairly even engagement, and finally, spike planted, orbital strike through. It's not going to capture anybody. It's ever so slightly late, and allows Sick to negotiate himself into a position further onto this site. A couple of kills from the rear from Dapr, and Sova has it all to do right now. He's unable to transfer the spray. And well, that's going to be another reverse round. This time, Sentinels bringing it back.
The first team to win 2 in a row here in this half is probably going to take this. Just from sheer momentum and swinging things. This back and forth is the sort of thing that just makes me wait with bated breath for one of these teams to break the trend, start developing some momentum. And interesting here because it looks like we're only going to get either half buys or a bit of an eco round now out of the side of Renegades. That money has, I think, finally dwindled enough to the point where they have to consider if they want to do a full buy as a team. And it does look like that's the case as we see some things being swapped around. CP2 does have enough to bring an AR to this fight, but everybody else is going to be taking pistols, and this is huge.
It goes here.
Yeah, this looks like a tactical pause right now. We were warned about this before. Both teams get a couple of, well, moments just to really just have a discussion, chill things out. This is, of course, a high-pressure scenario as well. So talking about the tactics, especially on this attacking side, that they want to know how they're going to pull this one back at this point. I feel like the defender side always holds a slight advantage here on Bind, and sooner or later, they should be able to chomp down on that ever so slight advantage. But at 10-9, this is really riding on a knife's edge. I think that absolutely anything can happen at this point. But getting back into this one, I think that B take has certainly been working out. It seems to be catching Sentinels by surprise ever so slightly. The rotates have been ever so slightly late. The other side tactic that Renegades have been relying on is just finding that one pick on A, teleporting straight back to B and getting a quick spike plant. That applies the pressure of this spike, that time, and forces Sentinels into a really kind of awkward retake scenario where if they don't find those opening picks, it's game over.
Yeah, the very interesting thing about specifically planting on B after you teleport is that there aren't many places for them to retake from. The CT is just that tight corridor, and then it's hookah or long, and if you're going long, it's going to be quite the trek, so you're sacrificing time for maybe an element of surprise. And with that in mind, I think that Renegades is really trying to abuse that. They want to get that pick on A, teleport through B, plant, and then the number of angles they have to watch is very minimal. So even if it's an even scenario, if they trade frag even on A, but they pull folks over there, I wouldn't be shocked to see them teleport over to B, try to make that magic happen again. And pause is over, the round is starting, and it does look like they're going to start on A for now as they push through showers and the short.
And again, a slow stance. No run and gun tactics here for round number 20. The barrier orb is going to slow things down momentarily. But you see with this, the knife out, Cypher's surely going to just burst through at some point. Only with pistols in hand for the majority of these members. I don't know if exactly Renegades are expecting to take this 20th. They'll have the rifles to fall back on in their next engagement. Only a couple of seconds now before they inevitably go for this burst. And it all comes down to how many kills Dapr's able to find initially. The Cyber Cage goes through. It's that slight barrier of entry and an even trade. And kind of forced back before this spike can go down and through. I don't think that the defensive side want to get all too aggressive here and just play safety in numbers in the 4 versus 4 scenario. And without the spike down and Dapr connecting with another shot, the rotating flank is already here. And I don't think that Renegades are going to be more than ready for this one. ShahZaM and Dapr finish things off. And that's the scoreline closed up once again. Finally picking apart, I think, 2 rounds in a row now. And well, this is going to be the must-win round for Renegades.
Yeah, backing out there really slowed things down enough for Sentinels to capitalize. The flank rotate really helped catch them from the back. And then the other thing that really stands out to me is, with the exception of Brimstone, they don't have many ways to force Dapr out of that kind of sniper's nest on A. So he was able to pick up a triple kill with the operator very easily. I'm not sure that they can continue to take that route, and I think they agree, and that's why they are posturing now over towards B. That's a great flash to start things from Sinatraa. Just to get himself back. We see the shock dart go out as well, and all of the advancing they were doing on B is halted, at least temporarily. Sinatraa practicing his knife skills, wants to swing a bit, dance around. Winsum doing the same thing. Great minds think alike. And they're just looking for information, and now we see the wall bangs go out because of the anticipation. Sinatraa says, all right, at this point, somebody's got to have pushed up, right? The hot hands goes out as well. He's wall banging. Does actually catch Winsum there with the hot hands, but Nurfed does get the trade frag, so now it's going to be a 4v4, and they're still over there on B, but now the rotation is coming.
The rotate is firmly in place, and without Cypher and Clover any advantage to go over towards A, this is going to be a long-haul rotate if needed. They finally throw it back through, and they've only got Cypher to deal with over by the pointy letter. The rotation here is going to be delayed, and Cypher, it's Dapr with the operator in hand. He's got a lot of work to do here. They're going to cling on to this one. Spike finally down. He drops as well. That evens things up once more. Able to trade it back and through. And here's the flank once more. Operator nailing yet another. And this again was on a knife's edge, but only with Sage remaining. I don't think that this is going to be entirely possible on the retake, though. We know that Six good, but he needs to nail some lightning fast headshots if he's going to finish this one off. And I'm actually unsure if he's even going to try and go for this one. He should probably just try and back off, cling onto that Phantom. It's worthwhile weaponry to carry through to round number 22 here.
This is a really big win for Renegades, because if Sentinels had got another win, I think they would have just propelled themselves all the way to victory. I really want to call out Nurfed. Answering the res that Berghy tried to get on, that Sick tried to get on Sinatraa. I confused my sages there for a moment. Sick had a beautiful res on Sinatraa that was going to give them a numbers advantage. He answered right back with the orbital strike, denied that kept things in their favor. That, in my opinion, was a clutch enough moment to allow them to get over to A, get that plant. But again, as you said, this game is really on a knife's edge.
Okay.
I think Renegades would love to get a win here to take it to match point and honestly just get the monkey off their own back, because they still have not won back-to-back rounds since swapping sides. So we're going to see ShahZaM here drone out long. Not going to find any. Well, he will actually see CP2, who peeks out and takes out the drone. And so now they're having a bit of a standoff.
This is a really weak defensive side, all things considered, and with ShahZaM dropping as well, a third map is certainly on the cards. Sinatraa also falls, and again an even Stevens scenario on the B site this time. Dapr and Zombs going to be a little late to the party, but without the spike planted as of yet, it all comes down to these follow-up frags. Spike finally down through, and Sick only finds that one-to-one trade. It's not good enough in this scenario. Puts all the pressure on Zombs' shoulders, and they want to find this frag before even going for this plant right here. The heal from Sage.
You will not
And
kill
while
my
Zombs
ally.
again has a world of work to be done, the res as well in hand. This is again an unenviable situation, as he needs to nail all of the headshots right now, and I just don't think it's possible to see defenders stacked all upon each other. 12-10.
Well, we find ourselves at match point, and Renegades finally wins their back-to-back round. So after trading round for round, we get a 2 and then a 2. So if this trend continues, I assume that Sentinels is just going to take this, defy all odds. We've also seen these low buys really play up. So with the SMGs, you'd think they're heavily unfavored, but I'm throwing all expectations out the window here. On this map in particular, it's been a lot of surprising outcomes.
Yeah, if this trend continues, we could be going absolutely all night here on Bind. If not, we're going over to Split, which would be our third and final map here today in this series. I really didn't think that we were going there at this point, but a great performance to carry this one into a favorable lead. And now 2 opportunities to close. A great Hunter's Fury does tons of damage. ShahZaM starts things off incredibly strong, and once again, you see Sentinels exerting this pressure on the attacking side. A tertiary headshot found. That's beautifully crisp by Sick. And right now, I don't think that Renegades are going to be able to get onto this A site whatsoever. It's completely shut away.
Wow.
A flawless round.
Flawless. As I said, I'm just assuming that the traditional outcome is not what's going to happen. That was very well executed on the side of Sentinels. Everything went the way that you want it to. They got the early sonar arrow, turned that into a Hunter's Fury kill. They got some picks, snowballed that, and now they've got full Phantoms. The other side looks like they are going to be stuck rocking a couple of Sheriffs, though Winsum could buy for somebody if they really wanted to try to pressure this, because it is a match point scenario. It's win by 2, so right now we've got Sentinels trying to take this to overtime, and ShahZaM peeking long there, not going to find anybody this time. Berghy does get a pick on Sinatraa with that Sheriff. Again, for whatever reason, pistols and SMGs getting it done. Winsum now with the showstopper on Dapr. And now they're going to now rotate to A. They get the picks there on B, and we'll move to A, where Zombs is waiting in wait.
You will not kill my
It
ally.
certainly is. There's the res to pull it back into a 5 versus 4 retake scenario. But the spike should go down any second here. Winsum, he's controlling all of the flanks. It's key information to have at this point. They know exactly where Sentinels are coming from, and they're going to walk right into this wraparound. Sick has to be the initial entry man. With the wall broken and Nurfed and Berghy applying the pressure, the Sentinels are getting crushed on every single approach. A 1 versus 5, and no chance for Zombs to finish. 13-11 there, and we will see a third and final map.
I'm excited. I know that I said
Wow.
before that I was going to be excited just because I wanted to see Split, but I'm excited because Renegades did answer back. I questioned you before the start. I said,